Barbara Lee for Senate, and nearly 100 pro-peace progressives that our revolution has endorsed for local, state, and federal offices all across California. We're going to drop our voter guide in the chat for everybody. But while you guys are tuning in, please tell us your name and where you're from in the chat. We would love to hear from you, making sure our chat is going live. And in just a few minutes, you're going to hear from our Revolution Executive Director, Joseph Gavargis, who will give an update from the Michigan Uncommitted campaign in Michigan, where we are sending a message of peace to President Biden to change course on Gaza. Before we get started, keep kicking things off in the chat. I'm seeing Priscilla's here from West Virginia and Paco from Washington, D.C. Everybody keep letting us know why you're tuning in tonight, why you're excited about what we're seeing unfold in Michigan and the California primary, which is a week from today, and another opportunity to send a message for peace. So we've got a great lineup tonight. We're going to have Barbara Lee with us, and we'll hear from her campaign chair, Khanna, about the state of that race. We'll have California Assemblyman Ash Kalra here talking about the new cow care single payer bill dropping in California and why people who support universal health care should be excited about Barbara Lee and our various slates that we're endorsing in California. We'll also hear from some of our exciting candidates who are leading these progressive power slates. We'll have Vinnie Bacon, who's running for Democratic Central Committee in Alameda County, District 24. We'll have Susanna Williams for the same deep triple C, but in Contra Costa County. And they're going to talk about why they're running to transform the party from the inside out. We'll also have Sean Frame, who's running for California Assembly, District 6, and Alex Mohajer for California State Senate, District 37. We'll dig into their races, all of the ground game they have going on out in California, knocking doors, making calls, sending emails, texts. We've got 1 week to get out the vote in California, and that's why we're rallying here virtually tonight. So thank you all for joining us. And a big shout out to our viewers on Instagram. This is the first night that we are live streaming on that platform, so that's kind of exciting. And if you're watching on Insta, Facebook, Twitter, please like and share to get this live stream out to as many people as possible. We want to go live with those updates for Michigan and get everybody excited about our next opportunity to send a message for peace by voting in the California primary on Tuesday. So let me read a few names. We've got Marilyn from Maryland. We have Brother Grace from Jersey, Kay Gallen in Los Angeles. Sean Frame is rooting on one of our other candidates, Vinnie Bacon, says, go Vinnie. We have Rafael Picasso from San Francisco, Mary Harris in Oklahoma City, Oklahoma, and Linda in Kensington, California. A lot of folks tuning in from California, which is good to see because we really need to get out the vote in the Sunshine State. And I want to give a big thanks to all of our grassroots supporters out there. Just take a moment and thank you all for continuing to donate to us. If you're not already a recurring monthly member of our revolution with a monthly contribution, please sign up at that link in the chat. We cannot stress how important that is to all the work that we're doing state after state across the country, especially in this election year, 2024. So hit up that link, sign up for a recurring donation, and we will be forever grateful. And heads up for the folks in California, this weekend is the final GOTV weekend coming up, and Barbara Lee has some great events planned. We're going to drop these links in the chat right now. There's 4 in-person rallies where you can catch the congressperson live in person. That's in San Diego at noon on Saturday. We've got Orange County at 4 p.m. Saturday. She'll be in the Inland Empire at 3 p.m. on Sunday. And in Los Angeles, a big final rally at 7 p.m. on Sunday evening. So definitely sign up for one of those if you're in any of those locations. And once again, if you're just tuning in, we've got about 5 minutes until the show goes officially live. And my name is Amanda Nichols. I'm the communications director here at Our Revolution. And we're about to start our live California Get Out the Vote virtual rally. Keep boosting the chat, telling us your name, where you're from, and why you're tuning in. It's great to see Susanna Williams, one of our candidates, shouting out all of her fellow Contra Costa County peeps and candidates who are in the live chat right in the Zoom here. That's why it's great to join Zoom and be part of the community and really interact with the candidates that we're introducing you to and getting to know tonight. So we'll also have Barbara Lee tonight, the most effective progressive candidate in the race for U.S. Senate, one of the strongest anti-war voices who's ever served in Congress. We're really honored to be supporting her for the U.S. Senate seat in California. And her campaign chair, Khanna, will also be here. He recently took his own trip to Michigan. Maybe we'll hear a little bit about that. California Assemblyman Ash Kalra will be here talking about healthcare justice, cow care, and why he supports Barbara Lee. And then also, once again, Vinnie Bacon and Susanna Williams, who are running for Democratic committee seats to transform the party, will tell us about their races, as well as Sean Frame, who's running for California Assembly, District 6, and Alex Mohajer for California State Senate, District 37. So we've got a couple minutes left. Let me read a few more names. Sam Hardman from Tehachapi, California. I might be mispronouncing that. Aliana from Ohio. Amanda Walker is excited to see so many people she knows in the chat, really creating community. We've got Frank in Oak Park, Illinois. Aliana saying hello back to me, just some of the interaction we hear. Dan Goguen as well. Who am I missing? There's so many folks tuning in. It's hard to keep up. Hi, Kashif from Union City. And Glenda in Miami, Florida. Lisa from Oakland, California. Thank you all for tuning in tonight. It's really great to have such a big crowd of progressives, like-minded folks getting together to organize for what could be some really substantial wins for our movement, not only tonight in Michigan, where they're voting uncommitted to send a message of peace. This is a primary election, so this is an opportunity to make the voices be heard that the Biden administration really needs to change course, pursue peace, save lives, and bring back together, stitch back the coalition that gave him the White House in 2020. That's what he's going to need if he wants to, save democracy from Trump in November. So this is a very strategic opportunity to make sure that, he realigns with the values of the Democratic base in this moment. We need a ceasefire in Gaza now. As Mario Hasboon says in the chat, we agree. And Chris Gorman says, Barbara is our only hope from Oceanside, California. Diane from Cleveland, Ohio. She works with us here at Our Revolution. She's helping run our phone banks and get out the message in Michigan, California, all across the country. And we're going to have more states to come as, the months unfold here in this 2024 election. So Anton Frelix, he says, ceasefire now. And Dan is saying hi to Anton, who's tuning in from California as well. So it's great to see all of these familiar faces in the chat and really get our movement organized in this moment. And with that, let me hand it over to our host for the evening, Joseph Gevarghese. He's the Our Revolution Executive Director here. He spent the whole week talking to the press. He's been in Common Dreams. He's been in the New York Times. He's been mentioned in The Nation. And we've been trying to keep up with all of it, but we're definitely getting the message out one way or another that we need to pursue peace as the American foreign policy. And he's going to give us some updates on the Michigan primary right now and how we're sending that message for peace in Gaza. So Joseph, let me hand it over to you. It's just about 9 o'clock and we're going live.
Thank you, Amanda Nichols. Brothers and sisters, again, my name is Joseph Gevarghese. I am the Executive Director of Our Revolution, and I want to welcome each and every one of you to our final California Get Out the Vote rally. Election day in California is just a week away, and Our Revolution is organizing to get the vote out for the nearly 100 candidates that our movement has endorsed. Candidates are running as part of progressive power slates up and down the state of California. We've got Barbara Lee at the top of our ticket, and we're also organizing down ballot for progressive mayors, progressive city councilors, and even members of Democratic Party county committees. From top to bottom, our revolution is organizing for progress, and we're organizing for peace. We support Barbara Lee, brothers and sisters, for the United States Senate in part because she is the only true peace candidate in the United States Senate race in California. It's not Adam Schiff and it's not Katie Porter. It is Barbara Lee. We remember that Barbara Lee stood alone to vote against the wars in Iraq and Afghanistan back in 2001. And she was one of the first voices in Congress to call for an immediate ceasefire in Gaza. To date, her voice and our voices have been ignored. Over 30,000 people have been massacred by the Netanyahu regime with the aid and support of the Biden administration. Relatedly to this call is the fact that polls are closing in Michigan tonight. In Michigan, our revolution members have been organizing. We have over 87,000 supporters, and we've been organizing them to show up and vote today, to vote uncommitted in the Democratic presidential primary. Why? Because we, the people, need to send Joe Biden a message that he can't ignore. Fight for peace now or lose later. Michigan, we all know, is a key battleground state, and polls show that Biden consistently is behind. In 2016, Trump beat Clinton by 11,000 votes. That means that Joe Biden cannot afford for anyone in his core constituency, whether that's Arab and Palestinian Americans, whether that's young people, whether that's progressives. He can't afford to lose a single vote. And brothers and sisters, votes are coming in right now. They're being tallied in Michigan as we speak. Our goal, as I said, was to at least hit the 11,000 mark that I referred to from 2016. Right now, over 17,000 people in Michigan are registering a protest vote. That means our voices are going to be heard. That means the uncommitted vote is going to be showing up strong. Why? Because we're demanding that Biden change course in Gaza immediately, that he pursue peace, save lives, and ultimately do whatever is necessary to save our democracy. I also want to say this. Our movement for peace doesn't begin or end in Michigan, because after Michigan, we're going to keep the pressure on. Next Tuesday, we have another strategic opportunity to raise up our voices and tell the White House that we demand peace now. Barbara Lee and our other pro-peace candidates across California are going to be on the ballot, and we've got to make sure that we get every single progressive to the polls to send the administration a message it cannot ignore. You can check out our California endorsements, our progressive power slates on our website. Our team's going to be dropping that link in the chat. And with that, I want to introduce some of the people who are running alongside Barbara to transform politics in California and in our nation and our world. First up, I want to bring up Vinnie Bacon. As I mentioned, we're endorsing slates from Sacramento to Alameda to Southern California. as Bernie Sanders has said, change starts from the bottom up. And at our revolution, we are leaning into that by running slates of progressives to take over Democratic County central committees where the rubber meets the road in terms of taking on the Democratic establishment. Vinny is running in Alameda County as part of a slate that includes over 29 Our Revolution activists, members, progressives. And I want to welcome Vinny Bacon to our call tonight. Vinny, thanks for being here. Tell us a little bit about how you guys are campaigning, what you're running for, and how you're aligning with our peace movement in Barbara Lee.
Well, thank you so much, Joseph, for having me here tonight. I really feel honored to be among such a bunch of progressive rock stars here. Yeah, and as mentioned, we have 29 candidates in the five assembly districts in Alameda County. We're calling ourselves the People Powered Progressives. Our website is peoplepoweredprogressives.com. And it's interesting that Central Committee is such a little known race. Most people don't even know that it exists. And yet it is what runs the Democratic Party here in Alameda County. And Alameda County, as you may know, is the bluest county in all of California. But the Central Committee is still run by mods. And they endorse corporate candidates. They endorse a lot of bad people, in my opinion. So it's really important that we get a progressive majority on the Central Committee. We are close, and we are, I really think this time we are going to push it over the edge. We are text banking. We have sent out mailers. I have been walking. I was just walking today, dropping lit. And I really think we are going to get to the point where we have a progressive majority on the Alameda County Democratic Central Committee. And the people of Alameda County, the Democrats of Alameda County, they deserve it and they want it. So I really think we're going to win this time. And I'll just share one other silly thing if I can. We did work with Our Revolution and had them send out a mailer. And of course, we were endorsed by Our Revolution. I actually framed the mailer that I got. I was so proud of it. So anyway, thank you so much, Our Revolution, for the endorsement. And thank you for your help. And very excited to be part of the movement here. So thank you.
And Vinny, we were talking right before the call, and you were mentioning that as you're out on the doors, as your slate members are out on the doors engaging voters, what are you hearing?
Most people don't know what the Central Committee is. And it's so really just educating them on what it is the biggest thing. We do get people, I would say the bulk of people that do have an opinion, they're Democrats because they know how crazy the other side is, but that doesn't mean they're thrilled with the Democratic Party and they really want to see the party change. So that's something we're emphasizing that, yeah, we are the voice of change. We of course we're not Republicans, but we really do, we want to change the party and move it to something to where people are really proud to vote Democrat and say, yes, this is the party that works for me. Right now, they really don't feel that. So.
That's awesome, Vinny. And tell us a little bit about some of the campaign activity that you and some of the other slate members that you're running with have planned in the final week. We have almost 5,000 people on the phone, several hundred here in the Zoom room. I want to encourage all of the Californians, if you live in Alameda County and you have some time, to get involved, to plug in with Vinny and our Progressive Power slate.
Yeah, no, we pretty much, we've text banked to all the Democrats in the county. We have dropped lit. We did mailers to the, not to the best voters in the county. We've been dropping lit. And now, of course, at this time in the campaign, it's just, dropping as best you can. And, not so much door knocking just because, you don't have the time. You just got to hit as many doors as you can. But we are probably going to do a little more text banking, just get a second round in there to get those late voters. And we'll just keep at it right up until the end. So.
Right on. Vinny, awesome that you are here. Awesome to see other slate members on this call. And I want to encourage every Californian to get involved. what's unique about our revolution than a lot of other national organizations is that we are fundamentally committed to supporting people like Vinny, who are fighting to transform the Democratic Party into a party that listens to regular folks and is not captured by the corporate interest. And so what Vinny is doing is really the front lines of fighting to make our country better by transforming one of the two parties in this country to be more reflective of our voices. Vinny, good luck. I want to bring up our next guest, Susanna Williams. Susanna is here from Contra Costa County. Susanna is been a long time Our Revolution member and activist. She's been key in organizing other grassroots leaders in her community to run for the Contra Costa Democratic Central Committee. Susanna, welcome. Tell us a little bit about the race that you guys are running and how you guys are aligning with Barbara Lee for U.S. Senate.
Absolutely. Thank you, Joseph. I am so thrilled to be here. Being on the same stage, so to speak, as some of these amazing candidates and Barbara Lee. I mean, seriously, being able to support and know I can work for Barbara has kind of been my saving grace this political season. Vinny explained a lot about the Central Committee, same story in Contra Costa. No one knows really what the Central Committee does. A lot of us got involved trying to, just as Vinny and his team are trying to change things, right? We're Democrats, but we're really progressive and we want to see a lot of changes. I've seen that happen. I got involved in like 2017. You may not notice that my smiling face is not on the slate. Contra Costa works a little differently than Alameda County in that we are organized by supervisorial districts. So we have 5 districts. In districts 3 and 5, it was a non-competitive race. I happen to be in District 3, so we automatically won. So we got 7 people in, most of whom are strong progressives and Our Revolution members. So now we have 9 people on our slate. The slate is called Dems United for Progress. I will drop a link in chat afterwards. We have a website, we have social media. Our criteria when we first put the slate together were 2 things. You had to support Barbara Lee, and you also had to support a ceasefire. Obviously, we also looked at a lot of the other strong progressive values like Medicare for all and things like that. But that was our top 2 criteria because, frankly, those are the 2 most important things on the political and, frankly, humanitarian landscape at this present time. I have to give a huge shout out to Adi Oliveira. She has been the driving force and the day-to-day management for this slate. She has done an amazing job. I've been sort of the person who worked with Our Revolution to get the endorsement and kind of facilitate things. We also picked up the Working Families endorsement, as well as a lot of endorsements from Democratic political leaders and community members throughout the state, not just the county. Let's see here. What else have I got? Oh, campaign. Our Revolution did an amazing texting campaign for us. We also did our own countywide, pretty much reaching every Democrat at least once in the county with texting. That is ongoing. We are also doing social media. So we have Instagram, we have Facebook. I think there's a TikTok account. I'm not so sure about Twitter/X, but we're really covering all the bases. And one kind of cool thing that happened was I wrote a letter to the editor and I sent it to the only legitimate news source that we kind of have in the Bay Area anymore, because newspapers, what are those? Bay Area News Group, which is the San Jose Mercury News and the East Bay Times. And they actually published it. And it was talking about how important the Central Committee is and why you should vote for it. And I sent it to Paco going, hey, somebody noticed. And he made this amazing flyer for us. And we started circulating it. We got a lot of traction out of that simple letter to the editor, put it together, made it into a flyer, put the slate members, put photos and names on it, and started sending it out. So thank you so much to Our Revolution. Honestly, I don't think we would have gotten this far without all of your support. Anybody is on here for Contra Costa, I will drop the link. You can see some of the faces right there. There's 9 people. So please vote for Barbara Lee, vote for your other Our Revolution endorsed candidates, and of course, our Central Committee slates. So thank you all.
Hey, Susanna, amazing organizing you guys are doing there in Contra Costa. Again, I just want to emphasize and repeat for everybody on the call, because this is pretty consistent. You guys organized and said, you know what, we're only going to run with people who support Barbara, and we're going to run for people who support peace in Gaza. Well, that's actually our endorsement criteria in California, right? We want people who are aligned behind Barbara Lee, who is the most effective progressive in the race and the only peace candidate. And we want everyone to be committed at whatever level of government they serve in to be a voice for peace in Gaza, because that is what we need to make happen. So Susanna, awesome to have you here. We're committed to doing everything we can as helping you guys win in Contra Costa next Tuesday. And you know what? I want to give everyone a quick update from the field in Michigan right now. Over 20,000 people, 15% of the Democratic electorate have voted uncommitted on Joe Biden until he commits to peace in Gaza. And that's with only 14% of the votes in. Voters in Michigan are speaking out and they're demanding peace. And that is what we are organizing to do in California 1 week from today. So I want to bring up our next candidate. I had an opportunity to hang out with Sean Frame in Sacramento at the Democratic Party, the California Democratic Party's convention. And I want to say this, there's a lot of people in politics who are in it for themselves. It's hard to find genuine people who really care about issues. And I want to just tell you, from spending time with Sean and listening to his story and his passion for education reform and other progressive priorities, he's the real deal. And I want to bring up Sean to talk about not only his race, he's running to represent Sacramento County in the state assembly. He's running in District 6, but he's also here representing our Sacramento slate that includes candidates running for mayor, city council, and Democratic County Central Committee seats. Sean, welcome to our GOTV call. Good to see you, brother.
Thank you, Joseph. Good to see you too, man. I've got to say, it seems like the time has flown since I saw you here in November. I am Sean Frame. I'm running for California State Assembly District 6. It is the district with the Capitol building in it, and it's also the most crowded assembly race in the entire state. I'm the only candidate of 10 candidates in my race who's pledged to take no corporate money from day one, and the only candidate who has officially called for a ceasefire in Gaza. As somebody who's founded and run a progressive PAC myself that's focused on races from Congress down to school board, I know the power of slates. And that's why I'm proud to be on the Sacramento Progressive Power Slate that goes from Barbara Lee at the top of the ballot all the way down to Central Committee delegate spots at the bottom, and includes amazing candidates like Dr. Flo Kofer, who's running for mayor, city council spots, and even a candidate for the Sacramento County Board of Education. When we run together, we build progressive power together. We transform our city, county, and region into the kind of place progressives can run in and win. When I started this campaign, I was told over and over, you can't successfully campaign for assembly without taking corporate money. And I responded like this: I won't run a campaign that requires me to sell our values to the highest bidder. Our slate is filled top to bottom with amazing people who have made that same commitment and who will always stand tall for people over the powerful. When we work together, we can win. And when we win, we create the possibility that progressive policies on affordable housing, single-payer healthcare, climate change mitigation, public education, and so much more can get passed and implemented at every level of government. This is an incredible opportunity to win up and down the ballot in the state capitol, and this is the capital of the fourth largest economy on planet Earth. We can do this. We're in the final phase of getting out the vote, and we need your help to make sure we all prevail. Obviously, look at the Progressive Power Slate on our Revolution. And if you'd like to get involved in my campaign, we're literally phone banking right now. I've got the team phone banking right here, right now. And we're going out to the doors. We're actually going to be picking up ballots early next week. Go to seanframe.com, click the volunteer link, or throw in a few bucks if you can, get involved. But more than anything, make sure you support every single person on our progressive power slate, because we're going to transform our state capital.
Sean, thank you. And one question, you were, and I remember even back in November when we were at the convention, you were talking about being on the doors, making calls. You've been organizing nonstop. Tell us about what you're hearing. What are the issues that are really resonating with voters that you're talking to in California?
So it's interesting. We started at the doors back in September, and everybody said we're crazy. But you know, if you're gonna run a grassroots campaign, you got to start canvassing, that deep canvassing, that relationship building, that organizing early. And back then, you know, the number one thing we always heard about was housing. How do we help the 10,000 unhoused neighbors we have here in Sacramento County? And you know, it changed immediately after October 7th. And once the fighting started, the number one thing we heard every single time we were out at a door, calling people, texting people, was, where do you stand on a ceasefire in Gaza? Where do you stand on this? And, you know, for me, and I say it every day, there are 10 candidates in my race. Nothing would make me happier than if all 10 of us took the stance that I've taken, because it is the basic human stance to take. Nobody should have trouble saying they won't stand for genocide, right? Nobody should say that. That it is an issue that anybody campaigns on is insane. And look, I'll be honest, one of the things we've been doing is going to Friday prayer the last few weeks and just talking to folks in the community and really making that personal connection, because I feel like that's, you know, it's one thing to say something. It's another thing to go and have the conversations with folks who have lost family members, who have been directly impacted by what's happening in Gaza. And I will say that I have never been treated more warmly and kindly and received in a better way than by folks who were really suffering in a really tragic way. So I don't consider that organizing. I just consider that what any good human being ought to do, which is to go comfort those in need.
So, brothers and sisters, in Sacramento County, that was Sean Frame. He's running for Assembly District 6 to be your representative and our movement's representative in the state capitol. He's going to be fighting for issues we care about, like single parent. And in fact, we're going to have Ash Kalra on the call in a moment. But that said, I want to encourage everyone who's in Sacramento, take a couple of hours, hit the doors with Sean and his team, make calls for other folks on the slate. We need everybody to turn out if we're going to run the tables. And we have a chance to do that all across California next Tuesday. Now I want to bring up our next guest. We're going from Northern California all the way to Southern California. In fact, we're going to the OC. We're going to Orange County, which is Katie Porter's backyard. But I want to introduce you to a candidate, Alex Mohajer, who is running to serve in the state Senate. He's running for District 37. If elected, Alex would be the first openly Iranian gay person elected anywhere in the whole world. Talk about history. And he's doing that as a part of our movement. Alex has been a longtime activist. He was also in Sacramento at the Democratic convention in California. He supported Barbara Lee, and he's out on the doors with a progressive message. Alex, thanks for being with us. Tell us a little bit about the state of your race and what you've got going down in this last week before polls close.
Well, thank you so much. And good evening, everyone. My name is Alex Mohajer. It is an honor to be with you tonight as Our Revolution's endorsed progressive grassroots candidate for California State Senate in Orange County's 37th Senate District, representing my hometown of Irvine in the CA State Legislature. So for me, over the last few years, it's become clear that the world is a different place than when I was growing up here. We have lived through Trump, George Floyd, COVID, Black Lives Matter, an insurrection, a housing crisis, a climate crisis, an opioid crisis, a student debt crisis, and now we are experiencing a real-time humanitarian crisis in Gaza. I believe that these crises are not bugs in the system, but features of our system. And it's time for progressives to really step up, organize, and win. And that is why I'm so proud to be running with Barbara Lee at the top of the ticket. I believe much like Congresswoman Lee, I am challenging powerful Democrats and Republicans for this seat because the cost of living, healthcare, and housing have all become unsustainable in the state of California. And I do not believe we can continue to say we care about these issues when elected officials from our own party are taking money from special interests. And I am proudly the only candidate in my race of 11 candidates from either party who has pledged to refuse corporate PAC, fossil fuels, big pharma, big tech, and other special interest money. And I'll note, Joe, that Cal Matters reports we are a top fundraiser in this race. We've smoked 10 of the 11 candidates running, including all the Republicans, without taking a cent of special interest money. And I'm really proud of that. It can be done. As you mentioned, I'll also make history in this race as OC's first openly gay legislator, and no one has been a bigger champion for the LGBTQ community than Barbara Lee. Representative Lee was my congresswoman when I was a student at UC Berkeley protesting the Iraq War, when she was the sole no vote on funding that war. And since then, she has been a champion for the love and dignity of all people and even founded the Congressional Equality Caucus. So as I aim to break the pink ceiling here in Orange County, I want to say thank you to Congresswoman Lee for helping pave the way. And I look forward to working together as California's next U.S. and state senators. And so I hope you'll all consider checking out my campaign by visiting alex4ca.com and spread the word to your friends and family in Orange County that we have the opportunity to make history here in California. And we only have 1 week left to go. So thank you all so much. And let's go win this.
Let's definitely win this for Alex, for Susanna, for Sean, for Vinny, and all of the progressives that they are organizing in solidarity with to run the tables in California. Brothers and sisters who are listening, this is how we organize at Our Revolution. We have spent months working with candidates, organizing with our grassroots leaders to facilitate the creation of slates to make sure that people could come together and share resources, because you know what? That's what it's going to take to overcome big money. And that's what you're seeing play out. We've got slates that are united in purpose. They're united in peace, and they're united around Barbara Lee at the top of the ticket. And we're really excited to help each of these candidates and slates get over the finish line, because they're going to be a force multiplier for themselves, for other candidates, and for Barbara Lee at the top of the ticket. So we're with all of you and looking forward to making history next Tuesday. And I want to encourage everyone who's listening, whether you're in California or around the country, you can get involved and get out the vote for Barbara and for our candidates around the state. You can sign up to Phone Bank with our Phone Bank team. We've got Diane Morgan, who's our mobilization coordinator, and an amazing team of organizers who are making sure that we are hitting the dials nonstop on behalf of Barbara and all of the wonderful people that we've endorsed in California. You can sign up. The link is in the chat. Next up, I want to bring up Ash Kalra. Ash was with us several months ago on one of our early California organizing rallies. And Ash was here because he serves as a California assemblyman, but he also serves as the leading voice for universal single health care in Sacramento at the state council. And he is carrying on a legacy that really started with Barbara Lee. we've talked a lot about peace on this call. Peace is our top priority, peace in Gaza. But for as progressives, we all know that healthcare is something, universal healthcare, a healthcare system that is not controlled by corporations and incentivized by the profit motive is a key issue for us. And so I want to bring up Ash. Ash is on the campaign trail with Barbara. And he is fighting the good fight in Sacramento. Ash, tell us a little bit about your work to date.
Thank you so much, Joseph. Yes, I was in Oakland yesterday. We had a wonderful rally for Barbara Lee, and it was wonderful to see so many people there. It's great to see even more people on this call tonight because we need each and every one of you. And so we know that many of us have been in the fight and the struggle for single-payer healthcare for a long time. Very few have been in that fight longer than Congresswoman Barbara Lee. 21 years ago was the first time she co-authored a bill and has done so many times trying to push for single-payer healthcare, including the time that she was in the California legislature to now, of course, even the most recent iteration in the U.S. Congress. What we know is that it's more likely that we're going to see single-payer healthcare in our country when it's started by a state. And California is in a great position to do it. I've introduced CalCare once again. It's AB 2200. We expect to have a hearing in the Health Committee at some point next month. And the moment I introduced it, Barbara Lee was 1,000% behind it. And you cannot really understand how, well, I hope many of you can, but in general, most people don't understand how powerful it can be for a U.S. senator to get behind something of this nature. And that's why it's so important to get Barbara Lee elected to the U.S. Senate. And I want to show appreciation for our Senator Alex Padilla. He's been very supportive of CalCare. But one thing we've never had in the state of California are two U.S. senators that have been incredibly supportive of single-payer healthcare. And having a champion like Barbara Lee in that position is so critically important. And so I just want to say this, in the final week, look, we see polling numbers of likely voters. We have to understand what a likely voter means, especially in a primary election when you don't have a competitive presidential election, when neither Republicans or Democrats are showing up. What does it mean when you say likely voter? What you're talking about is older, more wealthy voters, tend to be less people of color. That means students, working people that are working 2-3 jobs. They're far less likely to show up because the attention on the top of the ticket is not there. And so it's up to us to get them out. We have a week left to get out all those voters that we know will support Barbara Lee. We know they're for single-payer healthcare because they're struggling to make ends meet. They're the ones making the decisions between their prescription drugs and food. They're the ones delaying their health care. We know this to be the case. And so it's up to us to get them out to vote. And I want to start with this. When you talk about GOTV, start with your family and friends. Don't assume they know there's an election next Tuesday. It hasn't been in the news here because we don't have a competitive presidential primary. So please start there with your friends, your family, your neighbors, and from there, have that ripple effect that gravitates outward. Contact 1,000, 100 people, 500 people, 1,000 people or more. If the 300 people on this call can make 1,000 contacts, and trust me, it is doable. You get on the phones, you get out knocking on doors, you can make 1,000 or more contacts between now and next Tuesday. I know because that's how I won against $6 million spent against me. We were nonstop. And that's what Barbara Lee needs. Congresswoman Lee needs us to show up for her the way that she's shown up for us every single year of her life, fighting for us. And so it's up to us to show up for her. It's not going to happen on social media. It's not going to happen by tweeting or putting something on Instagram. It's going to happen by direct contact with voters. So please get out there. Get out there and support Barbara Lee in these final few days. And let's make history. Let's shock the world. Let's shock the pollsters. Let's shock the pundits, because we know if she gets in the top 2, she will be our next U.S. Senator. So let's make it happen. I'm so proud of those that have been fighting so hard for so long for single payer, for healthcare justice. We know that healthcare justice is a racial justice issue. It is a gender justice issue. It is an economic justice issue. So as we fight for Barbara Lee, let's know that not only does she speak for us, she fights for us. And so this is it. There's no more time left. GOTV has started. People are mailing in their ballots, or in the alternative, they're not mailing in their ballots. And so we got to get out to them. In California, we all know everyone has their ballot mailed out to them. It's on their kitchen table. It's sitting on their counter. Let's get to them and get them to turn in that ballot. GOTV, get out the vote, and let's win this for Barbara Lee.
Hey, Ash, that is one of the strongest cases for getting out and organizing in this moment. I want to hit repeat on that, but I'm going to let people do that on their own on social media. Ash, when you're out talking to voters about the U.S. Senate race, what are you hearing? And what's moving people who may be undecided or may say, I don't really know, I don't care? What is your wrap as you talk to voters? And what do you recommend that the people on this call, and we've got about 300 in our live audience, we have about 5,000 listening in on the phones on our service. So what would you tell them to do and say?
Well, first of all, the first thing is that, and as I said before, quite honestly, most people don't know that the election is next Tuesday. They just don't. And you have to remember that those of us that are part of this call, the 5,000 listening in, by virtue of the work we do and the fact we're volunteering, we're part of a group that is more aware. And that's not a diss to folks that aren't aware, is that people are busy living their lives. And there has not been if you watch CNN, ABC News, whatever, the attention is on other states. And quite frankly, the attention on who's going to be the presidential nominee isn't really there, because we already know who's going to be based upon what we're seeing. And what that means is people aren't talking about, oh, the California primary is coming up next week. So that's number one. Number two, Gaza. Right now, Barbara Lee is the strongest voice on a ceasefire in Gaza. The far majority of voters, let alone Democrats, support a ceasefire. They don't know the differences between the candidates on that because they haven't necessarily heard directly from the candidates. The third thing is economics. Even though California has a very strong economy, it's not working for everyone. So we've got to make it very clear that Barbara Lee is on the side of working people, that she supports single-payer healthcare, which is wildly popular amongst the voters, that she supports raising the wage, that she supports labor unions. Those are the three things that I think if we can get out there and get the message out, because the reality is that they're not hearing enough about this Senate race. And so it's up to us to be Barbara Lee's voice. She's doing everything she can. Her team, they're working their tail off, but they need reinforcements because we don't have the tens of millions of dollars. That's a reality. We know that's a reality with progressives. The difference that we can make is by being foot soldiers for justice. And so all the thousands listening in, the hundreds on this Zoom, you are the ones that are going to make the difference. And don't presume that you can't make the difference. Know that you will make the difference if we do everything we can the next week.
So I want to just summarize that really quick for everyone on the call, right? Barbara Lee is the peace candidate, right? That is something that Ash is hearing as he talks to voters. Where are people on this conflict in the Middle East? Barbara Lee is head and shoulders above Adam Schiff and Katie Porter on this issue. We need to make sure that everybody, and Ash talked about vote tripling, talk to your friends, talk to your family, walk with them to the polls, help them fill out their ballots. That's how we're going to win this. But they need to know Barbara is the peace candidate. If we want to build on the win that we're going to have in Michigan tonight with the Vote Uncommitted campaign, right? Voting for Barbara is a way we're going to build on it and send the White House a message. The second thing is Barbara is the candidate for single payer health care. She is the only candidate who will champion Medicare for all in the United States Senate alongside Bernie Sanders. That we know because of her consistent track record on this issue. It sets her apart, and we need Barbara in the Senate fighting for universal health care. the third thing, economic justice, right? Everybody cares about our economy. And honestly, when I talk to voters, most voters are like, all right, am I going to be better off if I vote for Barbara Lee? And you know what? The answer is yes, because Barbara has a proven track record of fighting for workers. She was on the picket lines when the Fight for 15 first started a decade ago. She's supporting Starbucks workers and other workers who are on the front lines of change. That's not Katie Porter. That's not Adam Schiff. I don't want, they're all have their positions. They've all been out there with unions, but Barbara Lee is the true worker champion in this race. So those three things, right, Ash, if you can wrap those down, I think we can win this thing, right?
And Joseph, by the way, in
Yep.
California, you're allowed not only to help people fill out the ballot, you can take their ballot after they seal it and they sign it. You can sign the back and to note that you're the one dropping it off for them. Completely allowable. We've made it legal to help family members, to help the elderly, help folks that are busy running between two jobs. You can take their ballot from them and drop it off for them. Remember that. So go to your 10, 20 family members, do that this weekend. Pick up their ballots, go drop it off for them. And you can do that for anybody in the state of California.
That's a really great point, Ash. And that's what we as activists and organizers are called to do, is help others, right, lean in this moment. And as Ash said, it's not illegal, right? This is not election fraud. And in fact, I want to tell you something else that's not going to be illegal. You can vote twice for Barbara Lee, right? We need her to finish out Senator Feinstein's term, and we need her to fill out a full term in the United States Senate. So everyone here, right, help your friends and family fill out their ballots and make sure they all vote twice this go around for Barbara Lee. And really quick, I'm going to run again. Ash, thank you so much for joining us. I'm going to run and check our vote tracker. How is the undecided vote doing in the uncommitted vote doing in Michigan? We are now up to 23,000, approaching 27,000 votes. Almost 15% of the electorate in Michigan is standing up and sending Joe Biden a message. Peace now in Gaza and the Middle East. That's amazing. Our goal as a movement was to hit around 11,000, which is what Donald Trump, that was the margin that Donald Trump won by in 2016 against Hillary Clinton. We far surpassed that margin. And that means that our movement for peace, progressives, and young people and Arab Americans, we are in the driver's seat when it comes to influencing the administration's policy. We are growing in leverage and power. And we got to keep the pedal to the metal in California. Next Tuesday, we've got a big election. We've got Barbara Lee and all the progressives that we've endorsed on the ballot. I want to tell you how you can get involved in this election. There are a series of rolling rallies happening around the state. We've got a rally in San Diego, in Orange County, in the Inland Empire, in Los Angeles. Team Lee, Barbara's going to be on the ground barnstorming to get out the vote. She is tireless and relentless. And I want to encourage anyone who's in those areas to turn out and bring your friends who might be undecided and trying to figure out what to do. And so with that, get involved, come out to the rally, sign up for our phone banks. And at the end of the call, we're going to talk about text campaigning that each of you can do. The hundreds of people that are here in the Zoom room, and over 5,000 people are listening on our Teletown Hall service. And with that, I want to bring up our last two guests. First is Khanna, then is Barbara Lee. Representative Khanna, as we all know, has been on these calls since our revolution first made our endorsement, talking about why we need Barbara Lee in the United States Senate. He's reminded us that members of the Progressive Caucus, of whom he is an official, are behind Barbara Lee. Her colleagues like Ayanna Pressley, like Rashida Tlaib, like Andy Levin, all of these progressives want to see Barbara as their partner in the United States Senate. And so with that, I want to bring up Ro. Ro serves as a co-chair of Barbara's campaign and has been a longtime ally to us. So Ro, tell us a little bit about what needs to happen in this endgame. And I want to start with what is top of mind for members on this call and even the other candidates who we have running in California as part of our progressive power slates. All of our candidates, we endorsed over 100 candidates around California. They all had to pass 2 litmus tests. They had to be for ceasefire, peace in Gaza, and they had to support Barbara Lee at the top of the ticket. Right now, we're seeing the ceasefire issue be front and center in Michigan. Our goal is to make sure that we send a strong message in Michigan with the uncommitted vote, and that we do whatever possible we can, right, to get the vote out next Tuesday for Barbara, because we know she'll be a consistent voice and for peace in Gaza. So, Ro, welcome to our call once again, brother.
Well, thank you, Brother Joseph. Thank you to Brother Larry Cohen and everyone, Paco and Amanda Nichols and so many in our revolution. Congratulations on all your advocacy in Michigan. I was just there, and you've done an amazing, amazing job in standing up for a ceasefire and making it known that we need a change in policy. I believe because of your work, Joseph, and our revolution's work, we are finally getting the president to say the word ceasefire, even if it's while eating ice cream. But I think that is something that all of our revolution has done. And I know you're going to have really a strong night in getting that message out in Michigan. And I'm really proud of the work that you're doing to change foreign policy and to be for a ceasefire. And that is why I am supporting Barbara Lee. Now, I did not know that, of course, like any of us, that there was going to be October 7th or that we would have Netanyahu's government go off the rails with Ben Gvir when I endorsed Barbara Lee. But what I did know back then, about a year ago, is that we needed an anti-war voice in the Senate, that we needed someone who would be willing to put up with all the pressure, all the interest groups, all the Beltway, and say no to endless wars, no to massive military transfers of arms, no to violations of human rights, and to be willing to say that when it was unpopular, to be willing to say that even when our own president, our Democratic president, was in power, to be willing to say that even in defiance of leadership and defense contractors. And I knew Barbara Lee was that person. How did I know? Not because she's a great friend, not because she's thoughtful or eloquent, because she has a record of doing that, being the lone vote against the blank check to Afghanistan, being an early voice against the war in Iraq, working with Desmond Tutu, working with Nelson Mandela, having really if you could tell stories of her, she's a part, a legacy of the great traditions of peace and freedom in the United States and around the world. And she carries that with her. It's who she is. And she was progressive before progressive became popular. You know, before there was Bernie Sanders, before there was our revolution, she was out there progressive, fighting for single-payer health care, fighting for policies against environmental racism, fighting for universal child care, fighting for higher taxes on the rich, fighting for lower defense budgets. Now the party center has moved to where Barbara is. I have no doubt Barbara represents California, The only reason Barbara wouldn't win the race if she doesn't win the race is because of money. I mean, let's just be plain and frank. She doesn't get the big money. She doesn't get the corporate money. She doesn't get the max out donors. And she's being propelled by all of us, by citizens, and you guys have done an enormous job in California. And I believe she will make the top two. How can we make sure she makes the top two? We've got to get turnout. This is a turnout election. It's a very, very, very low turnout right now in California. So the side that turns out their voters is going to be in the top two. We know Adam Schiff is likely going to be one. It's a fight for two. It's a fight between Barbara, between Katie, and between the Republican, Steve Garvey. And whoever gets their side out is going to win. And the advantage Barbara has is she has a citizen army in all of you. So I have voted already. But if you haven't voted, make sure, please, you vote. Please put it on your social media, telling your friends to vote. Put it on TikTok. Put it on Twitter. Put it on Instagram. Let's get out the vote for her. If you can, make a contribution, $2, $5, $10. That money is going directly either on digital ads or on television, so we can get that vote out. And if we get the vote out, Barbara will be in the top two. If Barbara's in the top two, she's going to win. The key is to get her into the top two. But I am so proud of the race she's run, but more importantly, so proud of the integrity, of the vision, of the morality that she's shown in politics. And I'm just honored to be one of her co-chairs and to be a proud endorser. And I'm going to be doing everything I can to get the vote out in my district before March 5th. Let's go. Let's have her win. And by the way, that'd be the biggest thing. That voting Barbara Lee is like voting uncommitted in Michigan. You want to send a message on ceasefire, vote Barbara Lee. That's how we send a signal on ceasefire in California. Thank you, Joseph. Thank you, Barbara, for running a brilliant campaign.
Congressman Ro Khanna, co-chair of Barbara's campaign for United States Senate. You heard him say it, right? If we want to continue the momentum for peace that we're building around the country, on the heels of Michigan, we've got to get out the vote and make sure that Barbara finishes strong. And you heard Rose say it, right? Barbara's got a challenge. She is principled and ethical and doesn't take big money from corporate donors. She relies on us as small donors and as volunteers. And I want to encourage everyone on this call, donate to Barbara in this end game, donate to our revolution. We're getting out the vote. And again, do what we heard from the call to action we heard from Ash Kalra, right? Talk to your friends and family, help them fill out ballots, and tell them to vote twice for Barbara Lee. It is not illegal. And Ro, before you drop, and again, thank you so much for taking time to join us. Tell us a little bit about your visit in Michigan, and as you talk to voters, the significance of this uncommitted vote is really not about this immediate primary, but it's about November. And tell me a little bit about what you heard about voters on the ground, what voters there were saying. We heard from candidates here who are running up and down California. Ceasefire is definitely top of mind. And when they hear that Barbara's the peace candidate, it moves them. Tell me a little bit about what you heard in Michigan.
Well, Joseph, first of all, I heard of the organizing you and OR are doing. A lot of people are familiar with it. They appreciate it. They appreciate the passion that you've brought. And that's a place where our revolution has a huge presence. But a lot of it I heard was loss, was pain, was hurt. I mean, people sharing stories of families who've lost 3 generations, a grandparent, a parent, a child, because they were living in the same house, killed by missiles. Someone talking about UNRWA and how she went to school at UNRWA and how UNRWA gave her mom food and how she wouldn't have survived if it weren't for UNRWA. Now we've cut off UNRWA funding. People talking about, one person talking about how he lost 2 grandmothers, 2 on both sides, killed by the IDF. I mean, this is raw. People are hurting. This is not some theoretical sense of the loss of life as numbers. These are people's stories. These are people's families. These are people's friends. And they're saying the war needs to end. We need a permanent and lasting ceasefire and a release of the hostages. They're saying that we need to resume the aid. They're saying that the president needs to condemn the occupation and recognize a Palestinian state. And they're saying that we need to make changes in foreign policy to earn back the trust of a community. And if we don't, I fear that we won't win the state, because there is a new coalition for the Democratic Party, and that is a multiracial, multi-ethnic coalition. It includes our Muslim and Arab brothers and sisters. It includes young progressives. It includes young Jewish Americans. It includes voters of color, the Black AME Church. And if we ignore that base, we're not going to win.
Representative Khanna, thank you for making a powerful closing argument to elect Barbara Lee. And thank you for explaining what voters around the country are saying. We heard about what voters are telling our candidates. Ceasefire. We're hearing, as you said, in California, that peace is now a central issue for the base of the Democratic Party. And I know of no better candidate to represent our movement in power than Barbara Lee, to represent our peace movement in power than Barbara Lee. Coming off the heels again of Michigan, we need to organize. The top issue that progressives care about is peace in Gaza, in California, right? That's what people in California care about. And the only way that we can effectively send a message is that we go out and educate and organize people that Katie Porter is not in the right place on this issue, and neither is Adam Schiff. It is only our sister, Barbara Lee. And with that, Barbara, you've been on a whirlwind tour of California. You're nonstop campaigning. Tell us a little bit about the end game, and what do you need us as a movement to do? We have a couple of hundred activists here in the Zoom room. We have over 5,000 who are tuned in on the phones. What do you need us to do, sister, to bring this home?
First, let me thank you, Joseph, and Paco, and Amanda, and Maliha, and Ash, and Ro, all of our speakers, with Benny, Susanna, Sean, Alex, everyone who has participated, not only tonight, but throughout this really revolutionary campaign. And Joseph, I want to just say to you that you are, and our revolution is building power in a way that has not been built in this country. And I want to thank you so much for your endorsement and for helping us and for engaging voters in this revolution, because this is now we're at a critical turning point, as we all know, in our democracy, first of all. And this is a people-centered, people-powered movement that you have put together with Working Families Party, with Gen Z for Change, with 6 out of our 8 constitutional officers here in California, with so many young Democratic clubs, with the LGBTQ plus community, with our reproductive freedom for all, which I'm so proud of the endorsement of reproductive freedom and all, saying very clearly that Barbara Lee is the one who's standing up for our reproductive freedom and will take the lead on ending the Hyde Amendment and enshrining into law the Women's Health Protection Act. And so I just want to thank you, because this is not only a political campaign, it's an issues-driven campaign also. And to hear Ash tonight talk about single payer and his leadership, yes, we have got to get money and the profit motive out of the healthcare industry. Healthcare is a basic human right. So I want to thank Ash so much for his leadership and for his support. And to Ro, if Ro is still on, I just want to say to him, as my co-chair, how proud I am and how much he has brought our revolution and my campaign and progressives to the national scene. And it's so important that what he said about progressivism, we're mainstream. This is where the party is. This is where the public is. And so Ro has been such a shining light and such a stalwart to break through in many communities that don't really quite understand what progressive politics means. And I just have to say about Ro on Capitol Hill, he's very clear in how he breaks down economics to progressives so that we understand why it's important to talk about economics, and economic justice is so critical for people in California, where we have an affordability crisis, where people are working 2 and 3 jobs, driving 2 and 3 hours a day for minimum wage, can hardly rent a decent place. We have a huge unsheltered population. Affordability is a big issue. Childcare, can't afford childcare. I mean, here I had to bring my 2 little boys to class with me because I couldn't afford childcare because I was on public assistance and Medi-Cal and food stamps. Here we are in 2024. Still, working families can't afford childcare. So all of these are economic issues. So I want to thank Ro for breaking it down. And you all know what we're doing, and this is a people-powered campaign. But right now, you know, Joseph, and to all of you, you know, I always said and fought for peace and justice. My book that I wrote in 2008, of course, if you haven't read it, it's online. It's called Renegade for Peace and Justice. And so we have to, and what happened during the peace movement is that people of color on the justice front weren't necessarily included in the peace movement. And what I see now, Joseph, and our revolution, and to all of you, is this movement now is multiracial, and it's a peace and justice movement. And I was so proud of our African-American clergy. In addition to the AMEs, Joseph, we have over 1,000 African-American clergy who signed a powerful ceasefire statement, powerful. And so now is the time to unify. Now is the time to bring people together for our fight for peace and justice. And that's what my campaign is all about. And it's about us at this point, 1 week out, getting our voters to the polls, voting early, voting 2 times. Yes, that's very legal for the special and the primary election. Phone banking, because yes, with the low voter turnout, we know those aren't our voters. You know, and with all of the millions of dollars that right now have been put into the media for it to be such a low voter turnout, you know what's happening out here. And you know we have a chance to get into the top 2. So let's get our voters to the polls so that we can win this thing on Tuesday. And I'm confident that we can. And I'll just close by thanking you again and saying, look, there's nobody in this race who understands and has a background in foreign policy and national security than Barbara Lee. I am the most experienced one, and my non-establishment perspective is about peace. And we have to fight. We have to fight. We have to fight, because when we fight, we win, and we have to fight to make sure that peace is on the agenda, that we develop pathways to peace, which means we reduce this military budget. Waste, fraud, and abuse, the taxpayers and weapons arms dealers are scamming our taxpayers, and we need to put more resources into development, diplomacy, and preventing wars, and in our own communities and in our own domestic priorities here in America. And we have the resources to do that. So I want to take these arguments and this debate into the United States Senate, being one of 100 with myself and Bernie and a couple of other senators. We can start a revolution that's going to change this country, and I'm confident of that. Joseph, thank you all again very much, and on to victory on Tuesday.
Onward, Barbara Lee.
Let me take a moment to thank Team Lee, headed by Robert Dempsey. Of course, you all know Robert from Bernie's campaign, but they are doing a phenomenal job. You would think we had $35 million for the kind of work that they're doing. So I just want to take a moment to thank all of Team Lee and Robert and everybody who's part of this effort.
Barbara Lee, thank you so much. Know that our movement loves you and is motivated in this moment to do everything to get out the vote, because we can't leave anything on the table. The stakes are too high. We got good organizing advice from Ash and from Ro. We need everyone to sign up and mobilize friends and family. Help them fill out ballots, and help them vote twice for Barbara Lee. And that being said, there's also activities that people who are on this call, either in the Zoom room or the teletown hall, can sign up for. There are going to be phone banks happening. Sign up. Link is in the chat. Every night, we've got volunteers from around the country and in California talking to voters and making sure that they get off the couch and make a stand. We also the campaign is organizing events in partnership with Working Families and other organizations. There are events in San Diego, Orange County, Inland Empire, and Los Angeles coming up. Sign up if you're in those areas. And last but not least, there is an opportunity to reach folks. If you don't want to talk on the phones and you don't necessarily want to turn out to a rally, you can still get involved because you can text. You can text, be a part of the Lee campaign's text banking operation. It's relational organizing, and we want to make sure that we get everybody engaged. And so there's going to be links in the chat for to get involved with that. And with that, we're at the end of the evening. It is a big night in America. We've thrown down a marker in Michigan. Almost 30,000 people, brothers and sisters, over 30,000 people have voted uncommitted. Only 22% of the ballots are in. That means the people of Michigan want peace. And we all know that the people of California want peace. The next step in this struggle for peace after Michigan is next Tuesday when we get Barbara Lee into the top two, but it's going to take all of us organizing. And that being said, let's end with our chant, organizing. We organize because when we organize, we know we win. Say it with me, brothers and sisters. When we organize,
we win.
We win.
When we organize,
We
win.
We win.
when we organize,
We
win.
Let's do it, California. Thank you and good night.